It's November 16th, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello and welcome to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. It's an actual Insiders Roundtable
Beer
this
Temple
week.
1.0.
Yeah, 1.0.
Yeah.
So we are still in
I guess 2.0.
Apple cheese. I wish. Beer Temple.
We've been speaking of
the
acquisitions.
Studio 2.0. Which is 0.5. Studio 0.5. I think we went from Studio 1 to
We're
Studio
going backwards.
Yes.
Right.
So we're in Studio BT.
Yep.
We've got the gaming group in our back room, but that's cool. I'm Chris Quinn, the host, with my other host, Mr. Mike Shalau. What's up with you?
Not much.
How are you?
Doing well.
You get new glasses?
Nope.
No.
Okay. I've had these for a
different.
couple of years.
Okay. Well, good to know.
I'm wearing a hat today.
It's the
Maybe
hat.
that's
It's
it.
a hat.
Yes.
Yeah. I did get a haircut, but you can't tell because I'm wearing a hat.
That's what it is.
And everyone could probably tell Serge got a haircut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's all that's new with you is haircuts.
A haircut, yeah. I mean, we're brewing some beer emptying some barrels and brewing into barrels, making some more not spontaneous, but mixed culture beer.
Very fun.
Yeah. Should be very fun and messy.
Yeah, and as we were joking before, this is an emergency Insiders Roundtable. I don't think we had one planned for this week, but I think it's
usually
important.
we have these pretty well planned out for about 2 or 3 quarters in advance, right? We know exactly what we're doing every week.
Yes.
Never a scramble.
I get the invitations like 6 months prior,
I'm
knowing
excited
exactly what I'm doing on a Tuesday night in every single month.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
excited to
Every
see you in
week.
March. Mm-hmm. It'll be great.
I was supposed to be here in March,
Yeah. You came early.
but it's an emergency session.
Yeah, so we should probably get right in. Well, let's first do our intro and our thank yous, right?
Yeah.
So thanks first and foremost to everyone who's tuned in and listening via either Lumpen Radio 105.5 FM or via podcast, whatever your podcast source of preference is. Thank you for downloading and or streaming and listening. Thanks to Lumpen Radio and its fearless leaders for having us back on yet again. One of them is sitting directly to my right, so I feel like my ears are burning as I say this stuff. I better say the right stuff. I'll lose all that sweet underwriting money that I'm getting from Lumpen Radio.
It's official
My main
audit.
source of
This is
income.
an official audit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is a good chunk of my income.
The
This
man,
free podcast we do.
the man, the community radio Borg is
That's
sitting
right.
next to me right now.
The creative Borg of Chicago.
Exactly.
Most successful failure.
Yeah. But yeah, so we've got some guests, some awesome guests, frankly,
Some of
and
the best.
for something that we just pulled together, I think. Let's be real. We got who we want.
We only get the best guests, but these are the best guests.
The best of the best.
Yeah.
The all-time guest, number one guest, I would say, because you don't qualify anymore for
Yeah.
that.
I graduated.
Yeah, Mr. Still the most often cited and referred to on this show by far. I mean, he at least every other week Edmar is brought up on this show.
Huh.
Yeah.
We joke that you live on the roof.
I do.
You live
and
upstairs still.
I never get off the roof. I'm there a lot, just kind of gazing into the stars at night.
Gaming.
Gaming, thinking about weather machines, thinking about how I can get food delivered via catapult or pigeon.
Oh.
So I never have to set foot on the ground.
I like this. Some like medieval
Medieval
versions of drones.
delivery. Well, it's a new app I'm working on with some friends. delivering a food by catapult
Oh wow.
or trebuchet.
Hovercraft.
There's a big online.
Hovercraft if you need to go very far away from where the
Yeah,
food's delivered.
that's like the XL, like the Uber XL. Yeah,
Because there's so many.
Then
Someone's got to pay for the jewels.
Exactly. Yeah, Mr. Edmar Zuski, Edmar himself. I have to say, Ed, and I wasn't planning on saying this, but this is the truth. For me, it's a lot more convenient to do the show here, but one of the main reasons that it took so long to move the show out of Bridgeport, and my number one regret by far, is that I do not see you nearly as much as I used to.
Oh, Chris.
It's the truth.
I
Ed.
thought,
It was gonna be. I thought it was,
man, I miss you so much too, buddy. I thought you were going to say one of the main reasons you went to Bridgeport is because you wanted the beef sandwich from Phil.
that's honestly where I thought this was going to. Cheesy beefs after the
But
show.
it's actually, I'm the cheesy beef.
You're the cheesy beef.
the most.
You're
So-
cheesy beef and hamburger heaven all rolled into one.
Oh,
God,
wow.
Chris, thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
That
you're the
means a lot.
human embodiment for me of a
Of
3
beef-
a.m.
of a beef sandwich.
Yes, beef. Mhm.
dipped
Dipped.
with cheese and
Hot
jardinere.
jardinere
Yeah.
and heated.
Yes.
The heated part's important. You need a warm, kind of melty cheese crust over my body if you want to hang.
Yeah,
It's gotta
exactly.
become one unified
It's like
cheese
you're
crust
reading my
body.
mind. I'm
think-
thinking of you naked, slathered in melted cheese.
Yeah, and
This is-
jardinere that
and
pops
jardinere
through,
sprinkled on
and
you.
just kind of like waves of beef lips all
Exactly.
over me.
Well, you're the hot beef, man.
Beef folds
You're
and
the
the-
hot
Yeah,
beef.
yeah.
And then
and I'm,
the-
and I'm
the-
dripping.
The shirt
yeah.
looks
Wet.
a little bit like
yeah,
it's covered
dipped.
in
You're dipped.
This is truly
dipped.
Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable 1.0. We're back, baby.
melted
Yeah.
cheese.
Well, Chris, I got to say,
Where's Kate?
I was actually at a big Lumpen Radio board meeting.
Ah.
And we were just discussing a lot of uses of our technology in the future, where the station's going, and how we're doing a big fundraiser soon for a nonprofit to get a repeater finally after 17,000 years. And I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be good to do a promotional stunt by having another live Insiders Roundtable event in the CoPro sometime? So let's at least organize that.
Yeah.
Let the Peanut Gallery come out and just disrupt the show by speaking over the entire show the whole time.
I think everyone gets a mic.
Yeah.
Everyone in the audience
Yeah.
gets a mic. Yeah.
What we really need to do, and this is for
Serge, can you do
later,
that?
but we'll talk about it
We need a lot of
briefly,
splitters.
is we need to have a return to the Craft Beer Awards. I just don't know. I mean,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what we need. The world needs
We
it.
need the second 39th annual Craft Beer Awards. Yeah.
What year did the 39th Annual Craft Beer Awards, the second annual 39th Annual Craft Beer Awards take place?
17, 18 maybe?
Because
19?
there's a theme on the show.
yeah,
of,
like
no.
17,
Yeah,
or
17.
16.
17.
when
It's
did
been a while.
you exit your exploratory mode of craft beer and become a jaded, cynical? And so
There's so many awards.
Everyone's coming in around 2016, 2017 so far.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys ruined craft beer with that award show.
That's true.
Try. I'm trying to do the
Honestly.
best I can to just put the final nails into the coffin of craft beer.
I just don't know why we don't go outside right now and grab those gamers and bring them
in here.
Yeah.
like right now.
And just start rolling.
Well, thanks, Ed. It's great seeing you. Thanks for
Chris.
coming on.
Thank you, buddy.
And,
Great to be here.
Our second guest, the junior member of the panel,
But the most senior in wisdom and guile.
number one in
and,
our hearts. Yeah,
and attractiveness.
yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Donn Bichsel. What's up, dude?
I
How
feel
are you?
beautiful now.
Yeah, I've seen you at least on Zoom a couple times in the past year. I think. Have we seen each other in person?
Yeah, a little bit. We were in.
Okay.
We were in. Once they were allowing people back inside,
Yeah.
I think I was in with my normal Friday drinking crew, and then the weather turned and we went back outside to our home. And I think that you'll see us a little bit more now that the weather's, getting a little chilly, and now that people are allowed back inside again.
So I got to ask. It's the question all the listeners. We cannot just every time I open the inbox again and again and again, they want to know, how is Rob Todd?
Yeah,
It's pretty good, actually.
That's a great question.
So didn't expect that. So the answer to that is I was actually, I can't believe this is coming up. I was actually texting him last night from the airport in Newark.
Of course you were.
Because I was pretty upset over the fact that I went to find a beer and I was trying to beat Jess Infante. We were in New York City for the Beer Marketers Insight Conference, and she was racing into her terminal, Terminal C, and I was racing into A to get that beer before she did, and I was determined to find an Allagash White, and I found it at the first bar, and there it is. The pad, you got to enter it in, and you enter in the pad, and you order it, and it popped up, Allagash Saison. No Allagash White. So I left and went to the next bar.
Allagash Saison's pretty good, though.
Allagash Saison. But here's the problem with the Allagash Saison. So a normal beer there, and I ended up getting a Sierra Nevada, what is that, the hazy little hazy?
Hazy little thing.
Hazy little thing, because it was normal pricing for the airport, at $9.50.
I was going to say, $9.
The Allagash Saison was priced at $17.85.
Hallelujah.
So I passed on the Allagash Saison. So,
Hard pass. Got it.
which I also hear that they don't really make anymore, and has been kind of probably sitting at that airport.
Yeah,
since
I was going to say that,
2019.
but I thought I didn't want to talk out of turn because I was like, I think it's.
I'm flying through that airport next week. I'm going to
Gotta
go
get
find
some-
that
yeah.
out. With
That's
LaGuardia,
why it's vintage.
Well, I'm
man.
just wondering, is there anybody on this panel that would know something about saisons and how they definitely hold up over time? I mean, so especially on draft.
I think I have to text Rob Todd.
Yeah, exactly.
He was draft. That was 1950 for 9 ounces. Jeez.
Great.
It was amazing.
I
Well
wonder
done.
if they accidentally bought a keg of Resurgam or something, and there's just one lonely bar.
What is
the
it?
pizza
It-
bar
yeah.
in the terminal, the Delta terminal of LaGuardia is
It was
got
it
the
was,
last,
it's
the
a
last keg
Saison.
of Cool Chip Resurgam.
it was on multiple lines. It was pretty impressive.
Amazing.
Wow. All right then. Somebody's doing their job.
They really
moving that.
locked that handle in by it being $19 for
Yeah.
an 8-ounce pour. So
If you buy,
no one else is taking that over.
if you buy 5 years worth now, you'll get $10 off per keg.
Wow,
I mean,
what a deal!
yeah, can't say no to that. Well, it's awesome to have you guys on, and we should probably start with beers that we've had lately that are exciting to us, or we're excited to try. Ed, anything you've had that's exciting to you, or that you're excited to
No,
try? Nothing.
I got to say that
Yeah, talk into the mic.
I did not know, and I apologize to Doug and Josh and everyone at Revolution, that I wasn't aware of their hazy series they were doing. So I had a Mega Hero 2 Haze Freakout 5000
Yeah.
while I was on day 3 of Battlefield 5.
Okay.
And I had
Ed's checking all the boxes for an Ed visit.
So I
video game he's
I
playing?
usually got 3 to 4 beers that I'm drinking on a session, right? So Battlefield 5 started off really buggy and really disappointing and crappy, but so joyous because you have a new battlefield to play in, the new maps, new weapons, new scenarios. One person's got a bat
Yeah,
suit
what else
that
do
allows
they
you
do?
to fly. I was so happy playing the game. I think it was yesterday, actually, where it was working, that I finished that beer in 4 minutes. And I was like, dang, I need another one of these.
Megatron Haze.
So the Mega
Mega
Hero 2.0
Haze as well.
is the gaming beer of today. So there's that.
Wow.
You hear it.
there's that
You heard
beer.
it here.
Yeah, and I have to say that your beer, the single barrel
Yeah.
Temple of Death,
Yeah,
Death,
Temple of Death. Yeah, Temple of Death. Either way.
is fantastic. I mean,
you.
I like that it's not super carbed. I like this a lot.
Well, that's because it was filled into a crowler on Saturday.
No,
more
but
than
I think
anything, but yeah.
I think it's great this
Yeah.
way. So thank you so much for offering this tonight. And
Thank
I actually had a raspberry VSOD after
VSOD, nice.
the after I had the Mega, and it was like, wow, raspberries. Okay,
Nice.
And then
This is
then your
technically
aim, your aim
VSOD.
got
Yeah,
even better.
so this,
Wow.
I had this with the raspberries last night too.
Great.
And
Had
then
to one-up me, huh?
And
That's
I
cool.
tried to
you got your own, I had
not
the
drink
raspberry
any
one.
more barrel aged beers.
I wasn't
Yes.
offered that one.
That was it. So yeah, I think these two beers were fantastic to have the intervention because normally, as you know, I just drink all the low fills at our brewery.
Yeah. And cheers to Rev for their medal for VSOJ.
That's right.
Visage.
That's right.
As I call it.
how to beat-
Visage.
It's hard to beat that beer.
Yeah, it's
And
very good beer.
One of the best barley wines I think you can find anywhere.
I think it is. Did not go this year. So
Did not go
Me
either.
neither. What does that mean, guys? We
It
did
means
go.
it means that we're all old.
I think
That's what it
we're
means.
old, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not going to ever go again. I needed a break. I'd been,
Yeah.
I think I calculated, I had judged minus last year because last year was a lost year. I think like 8 or 9 years in a row, and it's
I
like
had done like 6.
yeah, and I've had enough of it. It's cool. A lot of people I think will be way more enthusiastic about it, and they're the ones who should be judging it and doing all that stuff.
I didn't really need to go back after 1 year where we always we'd judge, then we'd go to Manny's, right?
Yeah.
And then the next day I went to Manny's again in the morning, went to the festival. We won a medal, so I got properly sauced up,
Yeah.
went back to Manny's, had another pastrami sandwich, and I could feel my face throbbing. And I fell asleep in my Uber home, and I'm like, I don't know if this is like the way you should be living your
No,
life.
the Manny's effect.
Yeah, it's
Three Manny's in 2 days is impressive.
yeah.
That's a lot.
I always think that my problem with Fobab is the fact that it's kind of like going into that bar that's got a really bad hood, and you end up leaving just smell
Smell
like
like
the
it.
cheeseburger.
Yeah.
I leave every Fobab feeling like kind of like sticky.
Yeah.
farts.
Yeah.
Osmosis of just like sticky.
Sticky barrel aged beers.
Yeah.
And plus, I usually don't remember leaving there, so it's kind of nice to take a year off.
Dangerous.
Have you had any beers though that you're excited about?
Yeah. Well,
This guy? Ooh, you're talking about
What?
Don?
Either one.
What beers? Oh.
Either.
Talking
No,
about
go
Mike?
for it. Either. Anyone.
anyone can go.
You already went.
Yeah, I went. I'm just like, who's next?
Well, here's the thing. Everyone takes it. You're not the only one who talks.
But he's the only one that
I'm
should
sorry.
talk.
I'm sorry. Wait. As part of the audit, I mean, the entire show has to be directly just me talking the whole time.
Right.
I thought that was part of the annual contract.
Well, so what do we do when
Good
you're not
audit.
here?
It's
We
really
had to.
successful.
I mean, only
We
when I'm
changed some things.
when I'm present, everyone just addresses me.
It's just 2
Okay.
hours of silence on that
How
because
should-
you're not
okay.
here.
You know what? Let me just further derail this. I did want to do a shout out while on this segment because we're going to get into some serious matters soon.
Yeah.
I wanted to say hello to Jeff, who saw me down in the Community of the Future and said, "Hey, are you Edmar?" I'm like, "Yes, I am. I recognize your voice."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "You do? From what?" From the Insiders Roundtable. I'm like,
There you
"No
go.
way! Wow, this is incredible."
I have to interrupt your story and let you know that I've got Jeff beat. So I was sitting in here waiting for you to come in,
Yeah.
and I actually didn't see you come in, and I recognized your hands.
Hey.
When your hands touched my body, I knew.
It's true.
I knew.
You knew it was me.
It's like
it was
being.
Edmar.
It's
Yeah.
like being touched by a hot beef sandwich.
Yeah. You didn't have to
cheesy-
hear anything. You didn't even hear me
cheesy
come in.
beef you
I didn't
pause.
hear a thing.
You felt me come in.
No,
Sliced
I didn't.
beef.
I didn't even feel
Draped
the
over your
aura,
shoulder.
but the minute your fingertips touched my shoulders,
You knew I was here.
I'm still shuddering just a touch.
Oh man.
This is such a love-in.
Well, that's how we roll. We've been here. We've been playing this massage game for a while, Chris.
I think now we invite in the gamers.
Yeah. Now it's time to roll a D20.
Let's take this thing to the next
By
level.
the way, they did invite me to play as well.
That's nice.
So you got to leave.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm out.
If I'm not allowed to just
That's actually why I'm
Yeah.
here.
just I'll see you guys.
You saw us and you're like, oh shit.
Show's on.
Oh
I
crap.
can't be Norbert, the half elf demon slayer right now. Why? Oh gosh. Oh, I have to go to the bathroom, guys. I'll be back.
In
Yeah.
48 minutes.
Exactly.
But yeah, Don, what are you drinking, buddy? What have you been drinking lately?
I think the
besides-
only thing I've been drinking lately is a Mars CBD botanical tea. It's called Dream Soda.
Oh my goodness, you drink that?
I drink
That's
it.
fantastic.
What's your favorite part about how it tastes?
Is it how you can taste it through the closed can?
Through the closed can in your hand?
He feels the taste through his hand.
The design is so good, you can already tell what it
Taste it.
tastes
The way-
like.
Yeah.
That's what Mars. It's no,
The way that
Mars
it's
is-
just
Mars effect.
soaking,
Yeah.
it's soaking in,
Yeah.
but it looks like it's going to be
I
spectacular.
think that's the highest rated.
I did
CBD
say what's
botanical
something
tea.
you're looking forward to drinking. I always do say that.
Yeah.
So
So that is what I'm looking forward to drinking. But
there you go.
But
Oh, nice save.
COVID's been really interesting for my drinking. It's not only not slowed down, but it definitely has moved into more consistency of. There's a craft beer that comes out of Mexico, and it's called Modelo. And
I heard of them.
and there's
Is
another
it Modelio?
Yeah, Modelio.
Yeah,
Modelo.
I heard of Modelio.
And then there's this other thing that comes across the mountains.
Founders bought them.
It's the mountains. It's the mountain water. It's Coors Banquet.
Coors Banquet.
Is
The original craft beer.
It's been a little bit of a Costco world since COVID.
70 packs.
99 packs.
Oh, they do 99 packs. That they do.
They're going to copy PBR.
Yeah, they did.
It's brilliant.
Genius.
Jungle
When's the-
Boogie in a
99 pack will cost you $5,000.
the Mars Jungle Boogie.
But you get a
$99
bunk
for 6
bed.
beers.
You get a bunk bed with that, and a jungle gym, and a free trip to Hawaii.
It's a stay at the Mars Motel.
Yeah.
And there's definitely not enough of it. So, you get into it and there's only really like 32 cans. You know what it is.
Right.
5 easy payments.
they're all
Production
low
runs
fills.
just packaging.
They're all
production
low
run
fills.
ran
You
out.
gotta share them with Edmar when if he wants one.
Exactly. Yeah.
I sign each low fill.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm trying to think. Did you already go?
I don't think so.
Do you have anything?
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to Fobab. A lot of my friends who are not from Chicago or no longer live in Chicago were in town. My friend Morig, who's now at Wolf's Ridge in Columbus, came by.
Okay.
With some of her brewery friends and some of the people from Derive, that's also in Columbus. And they gave me some of their delicious lagers and a cream ale. That's won like every coffee beer medal you can win.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just like a really delicious like coffee vanilla cream ale called Daybreak.
I'm
That's
going to
won
steal that idea right now.
Yeah, which
Thank you.
Which brewery is this?
Wolf's Ridge, or Wolf Ridge. They actually won a medal at Fobab, gold medal for their Brett beer. But this beer is like a nice little cream ale with coffee and vanilla, and it won
You've
gold at
talked
GABF.
about this beer on this show, I think. Or
I don't think
you've
so. I'd
told-
never had it before.
Really?
Well, what's cool about bringing up Columbus, though, is that there is actually a great developing scene there.
Yeah.
Lots of great stuff is happening in Columbus recently.
I've heard it's pretty cool.
That's really great.
Yeah, it has for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
Seventh Sun Brewery there is really good. They do some really great stuff, and they've got a couple of other concepts. I was just looking this up to see if this was one of theirs as well. But it is impressive how many breweries they've got. For,
Right, a small town.
and-
Well, not a
well,
small town,
That's not
a city.
a small town.
Big
Yeah.
town.
So,
They have a professional hockey team.
well, they have that campus where a bunch of children go, like 18
Yeah.
to 22.
One of the
Yeah,
most-
there's like it's only like
most
what
children.
100,000 undergrads or something.
Something small like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were.
But other than
telling
that,
me-
it's a small town.
They have a school there?
yeah.
One.
the
school.
They have
The-
the school, as some
Yeah.
would say.
And then
the
they've got
school north of Florida.
they've got a brewery for dogs there as well.
I heard about that one. My dog Rin loves that beer. Speaking of which, this is great that you queued it up. I'm making dogs for beer or beer for dogs. You got that off color? Take it off your list. And we're making beer for brewers. I'm not sure if you did
I
that one yet.
thought you already did that one.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Chug Life is?
No, Chug Life is for everyone.
Oh, right.
But
For
yeah,
the children.
What exactly is a beer for a dog?
exactly. Yeah,
You'll find
Nailed
out.
it.
You'll find out soon.
Is it like it's water?
It might be NA.
Might not be.
Chicago tap water.
And you know what's will be great about it? It'll be CBD water for dogs. Yeah, for pets.
Pets do take
Hot-
CBD these
oh
days.
yeah, some pets need them.
Yeah.
But that's great.
So I'm going to drop some.
I want to get some of those beers from Columbus. Can you tell your buddies to just here, buddies, if you're listening right now because you're friends on this show, ship a case of the Excitement over to the Beer Temple. I'll shill the heck out of it next time Chris comes on, invites me to the show in 2023.
Yeah,
Some
1 year
Daybreak.
from now.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about. Let me do my beer because I'll forget otherwise. But then don't let me forget. We'll take a break. But before we do, let's talk about letters while Ed is here and just how things have changed since they don't go there.
You have real letters now?
Yeah. So,
You actually get letters mailed to you?
Wait, hold on. See, we're already going off the rails.
I'm outta
Because
here.
I think
This
the
audit's
listeners are
going
going to appreciate
terribly.
this. I usually don't. I usually don't do this, and this is against my best interests because I haven't secured enough for my business yet, and I'm in the works of trying to get as much as I can before it hits shelves. But I had one of the best fruited lambics of my life last. Two weeks ago.
Lindemans.
And I had it again. Oh, you've heard of it?
Framboise.
You've heard of it? No. It's the Tilken is doing a whole like a grape varietal series, and they have a Gewürztraminer one.
Wait, can you say that word again?
Yeah, please.
Gewurz. Gewurz.
And spell it, please.
Gewurtz something. I don't know.
Meaner.
Yeah, meaner.
Yeah.
Unbelievably good. I reached out to 12% and said, I'll horse trade. I feel with some of this to get as much as possible.
I'll buy all.
They still
all
exist.
the evil twin you
There's
have.
12% still
They're still in
exists.
business?
Yeah, what the heck is going on?
All the evil twin you still have
in
left.
Chicago,
2
it's
cases
available.
I'm big fans of them. They're a big friend. I really like what they're doing. They've done well by me forever, and I'm hoping they can get me some
More variants.
They've
more
only
variants.
carried great.
Hey, I'm
names.
glad to hear that they are still kicking and doing their thing. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
I was excited too. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, is there any more of that beer
Apparently,
here, Chris?
I'm not in the know, but I do want this Tilken Gewurz. It's very good.
Did you get any more?
It hasn't come in yet.
How did you get some?
Somebody had brought some over from Belgium.
Oh, that's your life.
They've got a crazy.
You want to
series
talk
list for
about the
beer.
life? Look at this guy, man. They just bring it to him. Here, Chris, touch this liquid.
Yes. What do you think?
You don't
Chris?
even need a distributor. It all just comes into him.
Yeah. Here, please. Do me. Would you please do me the favor of drinking this beer I brought back from Belgium? I say maybe.
If I get around to it, I might pour it into an
Just
8-ounce can.
leave it on the
let
table.
go
Leave it
flat.
on the high boy. I'll grab it later.
Then I take it and I go into a different room and I drink it by myself without them.
And you come back and you just kind of shrug. Go, "Nah."
Yeah, exactly.
That's like what we talked about. How all of your favorite beer experiences are actually in the back room of Beer Temple alone,
While other people are having a
people
good
want
time.
to drink
Yeah.
with you. Yeah,
Exactly.
You're throwing darts by yourself,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Drinking
having
it.
flashbacks to childhood.
it is pretty amazing that you can make an importer's like entire year in one shipment.
Oh yeah.
We went to the United States. We went from 4 cases last year to 8.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Yeah,
Went to the Beer Temple in Chicago.
that's right. That's right. Hey, man, it's their business. I'm just telling them which ones I want, and that's the one I want.
The one that's
So-
sitting behind you, did you make that one quadruple in the United States at least?
Oh, I don't know. We've done a
The
lot.
Rothaus.
Yeah, we've done a lot.
Oktoberfest. I think you made it exist in the United States.
Yeah, the Oktoberfest for sure didn't happen.
It apparated because of
Yeah.
how many pallets you were.
We sold a lot of that. That was
Does
insane.
it still sell like it did when it first took off?
Still sells very well. We put it on draft and it came and went fast.
Yeah.
Went through 2 barrels in a couple days. I mean, people just really like it. Yeah, I mean, it's slowed down. It's also in more places now.
Was your exclusivity clause came to an end?
Well,
I don't believe in it.
when
exclusivity
Chris
clauses.
blows up something, everyone clamors around and demands the same.
Well,
Yeah.
then Chris gets to decide who else gets to
And he
sell
decides. He picks. He
King
In some
Yes.
allocates,
cases, that's
King
true.
makes-
yes.
allocates to the other stores.
With the kegs of the
Thou shalt get
Oktoberfest, that
5
was kind of
cases.
true.
It's true.
Unofficially.
Someone's got to decide. Might as well be Chris.
So here's the
vote
other
for
thing I
Chris.
was going to talk about was since we directed people to send their letters to a different address. It's funny. All we did was exactly the same thing, changed the address to this address,
And put
and letters started to come.
yeah, we
on.
definitely didn't put it in the show notes or anything.
The
It was
mail?
just
No, that was after.
The
that
mail.
was after.
The mail works.
the actual
out
mail,
here.
yeah.
Well, the mail doesn't make it into Bridgeport.
Not
Yeah.
into our mailbox.
Not
It
to
doesn't get-
Ed.
doesn't get lost.
It could make it into the mailbox. But I'll admit, I don't even know where the mail goes. I really don't know. And I make sure no mail address for anything I'm involved in goes to that building.
Right. I can see why.
For
now.
real.
I can see why.
Yeah.
That's why Reuben Kincaid's name's on the door.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I mean, I can't even tell you. Donors sending checks to that address is the most worrisome, terrifying experience on earth.
You're going to find a treasure trove of
be
of checks and
Yeah.
Tax
letters to the
6-figure
IRS.
bookmarks, you
Yeah.
know?
It's crazy.
So all donations should now moving forward come to the Beer Temple only.
That's
Is
right.
that what you're
We
saying?
should
Yes.
just move it all to this address.
And you can make the checks out to Chris and Mike at the Beer Temple.
Yeah, we'll hand it on.
Not the-
We'll
That's the new
transfer.
name of the nonprofit?
Yep.
Okay. Chris and Mike at the Beer Temple.
501c3.
Institute.
Leave off the 501c3 part, though.
Oh, yeah.
We add that in later.
Yeah, we'll put
we
that in.
handwrite that in for authenticity.
That's right.
And it's all digital deposit anyway, so no one really checks.
Yeah, I don't even need
Right.
to sign
Yeah.
up.
Okay.
So why don't we take a break, then come back with this huge news from last week. Welcome back to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. Had a very uplifting break. We all feel much better about ourselves and our industry.
Thanks for checking out my new rig, guys. What do you think about my 2 screens?
It's awesome. I mean,
it's
once it's up and running, it's going to be great.
144 hertz screen. I got almost 200, 300 frames per second.
Here at Humming.
Great. That's awesome.
Thanks for checking it out, though.
Are you done with that bong rip, Don? Don's taking bong rips off to the side.
It's just hemp.
I'm just sipping on this Mars CBD botanical tea.
It's the Dream Soda. Mm-hmm. Oh, it sounds so good. Come here. Get over here, Tiger.
Come touch me.
Yes, I'm here. I'm with you.
Touch me, big boy.
Oh, God.
So, Mike, what's the big news? What's the big news?
Mars is making a botanical tea. No,
It's actually really
Michigan,
good. It's really
Oh,
good.
yeah,
I didn't think it's up.
That's cool.
Mars sold to New Belgium.
Mars did?
Again.
Just
Yeah.
kidding.
For the second
Bell's.
time.
Bell's sold to New Belgium, which means they sold to Kirin, right?
Yeah.
Which is was one of like the last really big independent family.
Yeah, one of the big ones. Big,
beer
large
producers.
regional, almost national, but just big kind of regional.
Technically, didn't they sell the lion?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All of the optics were like, oh, it's sold to New Belgium. You're like, what would that really look like? No, we're joining New Belgium under a different Japanese Borg.
Of course, we're all friends, and nothing's going to change forever.
Right.
Right.
It's only going to be better for our beer.
Nothing will change. That's the funny thing is that's a paint by numbers press release right there.
Right.
And I will say, go back, you guys. I know some people do listen to the old episodes and look at it for like in context of history. I remember getting some angry people on the panel telling me that it's going to be different this time, and me rolling. Serge is nodding his head because I was, I'd seen this happen in non-beer, and I was like, "You guys are fools. This is just not how it goes. It's not meant to be manipulate. Well, I mean, maybe it is. I mean, but they have to say something. But like, of course, there's going to be changes. I mean, you have a new owner. They're going to do what they want.
Well, there's a magical clock that starts right now, and the clock hasn't started because this deal hasn't closed. And I actually, that topic came up. The CEO of New Belgium was on this panel yesterday in New York, and he was talking about this. That nothing's closed yet, so there's no changes. But they always go into this thing claiming that no, we're going to be 2 totally different entities, and everything's going to stay the same. And it's like a magical 3-year clock. 1 year goes by and they take care of all the back of the house.
Of course.
Another half a year goes by and it starts touching to the middle of the house. And then that last year, usually year 3 is when all the front of the house changes. And all of a sudden you're like, what happened to Susie and Jim? Oh, they've decided to take on new opportunities. So the sales forces will always get cut. It's what happens. You don't need 2 people calling on the same chain. At the end of the day, the chain buyer doesn't want to have 2 different people calling on them when they can have 1. So change is going to happen. It's just a question of when.
You don't need to, I mean, at the executive level, I mean, that's going to happen very, very soon.
That'll be
that's
the first
year
one,
one,
of course.
Yeah. And then it just changes from there. So like when your leadership literally changes, I mean, things change.
Right.
But yeah, so one of the last, and I was, when I wasn't, you're not surprised by these things anymore. And someone had mentioned to me like, oh, it's the last nail in the coffin. I was like, no, it's not the last nail in the coffin. But to me, it is now. I am fairly certain that the end is clear. I mean, the outcome is clear where things are going. And then I did say
the end of what? The end of craft beer as like a larger possibility as an independent entity, or rather than just being fully
the
assimilated.
excitement of what craft beer could be circa 10, or 2011, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would quickly argue that I don't agree with that. I mean, I think that at the very high end, I think so. But if you think about it, I think that it's still expanding. I mean, especially at the lower end, I think that there's more independent entrepreneurs in the business than there were 10 years ago. So I think it's. I mean, if you look at it now, what was the number? 9,000,
something like that.
So I mean, if we're losing the top, we're losing scale. So we're losing scale of it. But as far as jobs and the amount of thing, I think it's still fiercely independent. But I think you get to a certain stage and there's only so far you can grow and there's only so much talent you can afford. And I think that this stuff's natural and you can only live forever. So at some point in time, some of these people do want to cash out and take their money.
Sure. I'm not at the individual level. I think, who can blame or accuse anyone of doing anything other than, exactly what they have every right to do. But I do see the writing on the wall. And what I was saying is, in 10 years, it'll be, within 10 years, I said Sierra Nevada will go. And then my heart is completely crushed. Like, it's the only thing I'm holding on to at this point. And it's heartstring. It's just kind of wearing it that way and having an emotional attachment to a concept.
That was part of what craft beer was then, right? Is that you could emotionally attach yourself to what were essentially in manufacturing
and what
companies.
I think were one of the first to say, and I think you are dead on, and I've definitely taken that opinion, is that. And they were the ones who sold that to you. So don't be surprised when we ate what they were cooking up for us. That like we're different.
He's talking about the propaganda of the craft beer universe.
He was pointing pretty aggressively, so I was looking to see what he was pointing at.
Yeah,
I know. I was saying it in a positive way. Yeah. I was like, Mike was the one who said, "Well, we believe it because that's what they told us."
Right.
Yeah, but isn't it the natural lifespan of like any business? You know what I mean? If you look across time, it's at some point in time, the second generation, the third generation, and even the employees. I mean, you can't keep giving people, increases of not just even pay, but opportunities for professional growth because you hit these natural walls where you're not going to keep growing.
Yeah, you see that at like every level too. It's not just at the Bell's levels. Like that's something people
everywhere.
That's happening now, right? That craft beers somewhat come to maturity at the release. That you see like people that got in, like volunteered their time or making very small wages with the idea like one day I'll be head brewer here. Like you're kind of realizing like it's only one of those guys, and like maybe I'll have my own brewery. It's like there's already 9,000 of those. So you're like where is my opportunity coming from? And everyone's like, I just want to have a small brewery where we can make cool stuff. And then you have like, but there's 14 other people here who don't own any part of this business who like they need to make at least inflation raises every year, which if you don't grow your business,
you can't do.
Then you as the owner or the investors are losing money if you're doing right by your people.
I mean, I once I heard, I was like, you know what? Good for Larry. Good for the family. It's great that they got out. Because it's like, what is the point nowadays? We're going through almost 2 years of the plague has shown you how fragile this light manufacturing and independent businesses, this industry is, this segment, getting hammered by different beverage categories. I mean, I'm really happy for a lot of people who continue to believe in the craft beer and what it means, and I'm one of them for sure. But I also feel sorry for people who are starting things right now. I feel sorry for the people who actually are losing their breweries, like Oak Park Brewing Company or XYZ Brewing. And it's just like a shame that they're actually trying to sell those breweries and they really think they're going to find people to buy those breweries. It's over. It's over. Right. And Larry got out. Thank God Larry got out when he could, as opposed to watching it just go in decline.
Well, and I think decline is the perfect thing to say about it. I think that, look at New Belgium. New Belgium was stagnant for a number of years and wasn't growing. And, they went through this change and they had, change up at the top. They had change in ownership. And New Belgium is right now a rocket ship. Now, is New Belgium only a rocket ship because of the ownership change?
Rejuvenated it.
But there's new blood that's in there. There's new resources in there. There's aggressiveness to change distribution and supply channel. And that brand is flying. I mean, I would say right now that you are going to see Bell's go on an incredible rocket ship if this deal gets done over the next couple of years. You're going to see some different marketing tactics come in. You're going to see distributor realignment. You're going to see new focus on the off-premise channel. Because this brand's going to explode.
Yeah, because all those old heads in that kind of corporate Borg sensibility are looking for a fresh, young brand that they could exploit and do something good with.
And new
it's
talent.
Fun for them, right? The new talent will help them, compel them to do something great if they're in the right place. Doesn't happen to everyone.
I was impressed by how quiet this one was, though. There was... I was
impressed. So, what impressed you about it?
That you didn't know in advance.
You didn't know in advance. I mean, I was with Larry I've known Larry for a lot of years and was very fortunate that, in every step of my career, I've known Larry for 20 plus years. When I left Goose Island many, many years ago, Larry was the first one to call me and say, hey, maybe we should talk about an opportunity. And, when Heineken shut down my division, years ago, and I was working for Star Brand Imports, one of the first phone calls was from Larry.
Nice.
And the same thing when Revolution and I parted, it was the exact same thing. Larry has always been here for everybody in our industry. But I was at a Cubs game with him this summer, talking about he was taking a step back and stuff, and he gave no indication that this was coming at all. I mean, we were out drinking and talking all day long. Yeah. And I was with the guy that did this deal, the guy from Arlington Capital, at a dinner in Las Vegas at NBWA a month ago, and we were talking and grilling him about new deals coming and stuff like that. Just not a peep. I mean, this thing wasn't out there at all. The fact that they're able to get deals like this done without any of us,
sniffing around.
Well, we all sit around and talk about this stuff all the time, and none of us knew this was coming.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That is great. And also, I'm happy for Larry and, selling a business, but I just want to give you some credence, Chris, where I understand the business ownership part. I own a business. I have owned another brewery too. But as a beer consumer who came of age in an era where independent craft beer was vibrant, cool, family owned, and that's part of why we loved it. This kind of sucks. And all the logical parts aside, in my heart, it's sad. I want to believe in the idea that they could grow infinitely. I know it's childish maybe, but that's part of why I love these things so dearly, is that you could believe in that romantic idea of it.
But they don't end your dreams.
No.
Bell's is just
but those people are still going to work there.
Of course. But what I'm saying is that the idea of what craft beer could have been, where it's we're going to have X market share by this time, that's done as far as the definition of a craft brewery.
Sure.
So
that's inevitable.
The idea that everyone's going to grow and everything's expanding all the time, it's that's sad. It's sad to me that that's kind of finished.
I think what's really sad is the fact that I think that there's a lot of us that probably care, and I think that there's a lot of people that see these things happen and are very, very passionate about it. But when you start looking down the list of the top breweries that sell the majority of the products in the United States, they've changed ownership, and I would venture to say that most of the consumers that are out there don't know.
They have no idea.
Totally.
Or on top of it, they don't care. I mean, Lagunitas is here.
That's part of what sucks, though.
They don't care.
People think they're buying something where they're supporting their local community or some sort of rebellious or anti-establishment something, and it's just not the case.
I was just reading a quote this right before I came here. It was about still on my whiskey exploration, and it was talking about the CEO of Diageo talking about in 2013 how proclaiming they were going to be the largest producer of craft whiskey in the world. And that's just that just means it's just a term. It's just a term. It doesn't mean anything, which isn't necessarily the truth in how people feel about it. It's just a term to then be manipulated. And the fact that those guys are all making all that beer is because it also assumes that if none of those companies talk about something that's not realistic, but let's just suspend disbelief and say none of those breweries had sold, would craft beer not be selling, or would that beer still be selling maybe in a smaller amount, or is craft beer just not selling at all? Is it selling more? It's still selling. It's just selling to the independent companies instead.
It's just
a different thing.
Right. It's just when things go mainstream, is what happens, right? If something's successful, the people that actually for lack of the adults in the room with the money are going to figure out how they can,
the Borg absorbs,
from it.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but couldn't you argue that because the Borg absorbed, it was able to invest in the word craft and invest and get craft beer into more locations, which then has opened up more opportunities downstream.
You just showed me, maybe, but most of those downstream things are mostly selling beer through their tap rooms. And so you just showed me the top,
it's the
50
long
or
tail.
60 brands.
We've talked about the long tail.
Right. But that's not really opening opportunities. Like
But it is.
Part of why I want to buy craft beer is to recirculate money back to my local community.
but
that's what I do when I buy ingredients for the beers I'm making. I think that's an important part of why I like these things.
That's why,
and that's just not what's happening anymore.
Yeah, it is actually.
No, it's not.
There are more breweries opening, Mike. Yeah. And more breweries providing opportunities for people to invest hyper locally in a community or a neighborhood.
If the 50 largest brands are zombies of breweries that used to actually do those things, then that's not really the case.
But those 50 breweries have been replaced by a couple hundred new breweries.
They're creating
making
jobs.
1/10 of the amount of liquid and one 1/100th of the amount of revenue. Those things are important.
Well, maybe, but why do you expect that there always be exponential growth in the craft segment? I mean, there is growth. The fact that these businesses can open and survive is a miracle, A. The fact that they've provided light manufacturing jobs, a community, a third place, allowing people to gather is an incredible thing.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And you know me, I'd be the first person to condemn a Bell's or anyone who sells out to the Borg, right? As like,
but
wow,
you
sell out.
No one's condemned them.
Well, I would normally condemn them. But
why not?
But now, because as I've matured in this industry, my very few years involved in it as a producer, right? You can become a little bit more cynical, and you also just see how as the market itself becomes more competitive, as you talk to your friends in the industry, we are all complaining. We all see how shitty things are getting.
Right.
It just almost is like, well, what is the point? How do you keep surviving? How do you thrive in a time when there is a lack of interest? When you're right, when the people who don't care about Bell's being owned by the Borg or by a family are the dominant consumers everywhere, right? We're living in an age in general in which we've been, it's almost an information war where we're basically subsumed with social media, with algorithms, with carefully created situations to market to us. We sell ourselves to giant global corps. We are basically an appendage, a little node in every global corp desire.
Right.
All of our buttons are pushed. The biggest fight is not just around beer. It's about your existence as a human being and how you maintain any independent business. The evisceration of food and beverage in Chicago and all over the place is the crime, is the sadness. The local mom and pops being destroyed by what's happening as the Borg consolidates its distribution tentacles, sets the pricing, determines what will sell in the market because they have the most marketing budget and mind space to sell you White Claw. The fact that people engage on their own to create media about these products at the expense of being involved in their own community shows you how sick society has become in so many ways. So, the good fight is always there. It's always been there. It's always been a fight against the Borg. And more people are still opening up businesses against the most logical thing you can do, despite it all. But that's all we were ever going to do anyways. Because nobody in their right mind should be in this business.
That's not fair, though, because in 2012, that wasn't what it felt like. That wasn't what it was like when we sat down and when Larry...
I don't know what you felt like.
When Larry McGee was on this show with you and I and said, I'd rather put my thumbs into my eyes... Tony, put my thumbs into my eyes than sell to Budweiser and then sold to Heineken. That sucks. As a beer consumer and someone who believed in that idea,
but
that sucked, and that's become more the norm, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying
we're desensitized to it. We're used to it. Goose selling out, quotation marks. We all make fun of the Borg. We all make fun of these cats. But I think with hindsight, knowing today, even though I was on the ground next to Tony, supplicant to him while we're doing that show.
Is that what you call that?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. The reality is, he probably really felt the Borg. AB was the Borg. And again, he probably felt the Royal Heineken family was a good partner.
Wasn't the Borg.
Wasn't the Borg. Was not the Borg.
I find that hard to believe.
Well, that's what I believe.
It is very true.
I believe that.
I believe it wholeheartedly, especially when you look at some of these deals that happen with Firestone Walker and some of these other companies. They do believe and still believe, and I'm not saying anything wrong about that company, that if it's not AB, it's not the Borg. It's a different thing. It's a joint venture.
These are shades of Borg, I feel like.
It's shades of Borg that we're on
multinational companies.
But we're not
one
privy.
that has the most breweries in the entire world.
But I think it's one of those things that you said pretty well, though. You just said, Edmar, about the fact that, kind of in hindsight, this is like any other industry throughout time. This is what happens, is that these small companies, they develop locally, they become regional players, and then they get to a point that they can't take it to that next level. So they stay stagnant and they'll die, or they sell and they kind of move on. But I would once again argue that, I would not even argue, I just point out the fact that the amount of craft breweries that are here is just incredible. And we should all still celebrate the fact that in wineries and in breweries and small distilleries, yes, like always, the big companies control the lion's share of the business. But I do think
sucks.
But
We always suck.
Yes.
But it's always going to be that way. I mean, there's no breakthrough because at the end of the day, stuff is only sold at like large places, and those are the places that are dominated by these kind of
It's the whole market.
suppliers.
The whole system is set up for us not to win.
I want to point out, we're all agreeing on these terms.
Oh, yeah.
All that I'm trying to add to that is that as the consumer who loved the idea that this was like an independent thing, that idea at the highest level is gone, except for maybe Sierra Nevada, maybe Rheingeist, and maybe Allagash, maybe a couple others. But like that's
Surly.
But like that idea is dead. Like, it's not like you can grow into a national brand anymore.
But do we really want to have super large craft players?
Yes.
Yes. Why would
Yes.
you rather? Why would you?
I'm
rather
asking
have
you
them,
this.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, do we really want to
Sorry.
compete? Do we really want to compete? Do I really want to compete with Goose Island?
No, those are two different questions.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
as a small producer who can't compete on price and that scale anyways, do I really enjoy competing with my regional brewer?
What does you being a small producer who can't compete on that price have anything to do with Bell's? It being better for us that Bell's was an independent brewery.
Oh, of course, I wish it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm just trying to be
You're
devil's
trying to back
advocate.
into a
Yeah,
corner
I
that
really am.
wasn't.
No,
I
I
really
understand.
backed into.
And I appreciate that, Ed. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's, it's like pornography. It's like you can't define it, but you know it when you see it. It's like everyone knows it kind of sucks a little bit that this happened.
I
right?
don't know anything about pornography.
Oh, okay.
It's,
Well, you'll know it when you
It's
see
when,
it.
when,
You'll know it
when
when
one
you see
cheesy,
it.
beefy man rubs his hands all over another beautiful man, and it's filmed.
Edmar, are they saying that
It's like a book.
that was pornography?
It's like a book,
Yeah.
but for
Yeah.
your
It's
downstairs.
It's definitely pornographic.
I'd like some more of that.
There's a lot of books in this shelf here.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that as someone who as a consumer of this thing that liked believing in the fairy tale of that, like Larry Bell's this crazy guy who knows how to make good juice, and he's like not going to sell out. It's like
They're still
it's
gonna
sad.
make.
for
Well,
that
it wasn't-
part.
Still going to make
But-
good juice, and the thing is,
Now, here's-
I'm not arguing
those same
any
local
of that
people are
point.
still going to work there.
But you know what though?
For 3 years.
I-
per
For 3
year.
years
no,
until
that's
they
but if you look at Goose Island, and like, let's use Goose Island as an example. We all still have friends that work there. We have friends that are there at the tap room. We have friends that are there in the brewing community as well. It's not like it's just AB people have come in and they make all the decisions. They still have a local guy that's their president. You know what I mean?
there's great people who
There's
work
still
there.
great people
actually.
that still work there.
Yeah.
Those great people
Yeah.
are still going to be employed and still be part of our community.
Yeah.
It does it suck? Yes, of course. It's like I always thought that this was going to be Bell's was going to be there forever, and Firestone Walker and all of them were going to be there forever. But they still employ great people locally and provide.
And Goose Island
I'm only saying this-
did not shit the bed as quickly as we thought it would. It did not.
I mean,
turn
I can
into
start
a dump.
talking about. I mean, if
Right?
you want to talk about it, yes, Goose Island does still employ people. We do still like people who work there. A ton of people have also left. A ton of people have always left, and that has always been a kind of a ground
breeding ground. For
breeding
brewers.
ground for
Careers.
for careers.
I
will
think
also-
breweries.
And
I came from there.
I don't want to be painted as if I'm objecting to any of that stuff.
But I
love
will
people who
say,
work
but
at
now,
Goose Island.
but yeah,
A lot
and-
of them, not
and
all of them.
Goose Island is employing a lot of people all over the place to brew their beer in Denver, in New York, in all the places their beer is now brewed, and not Chicago.
Right.
Which is also not to be a dick about it, but you have to you have to tell the whole story.
Right.
Like we had Mike Siegel on just a couple weeks ago. I really like that guy. There are some of my favorite people ever in the brewing industry.
One of my best friends
were there. Yeah, so it's not like I don't like the people, and I can disagree with some of the not disagree. It's like I can wish things were different. I mean, I'm allowed to,
Right.
and
I can believe both these things at once. That I want them to have a good job with benefits and fulfillment,
Yeah.
and also be like upset that the fruits of their labor get shoveled up to an entity that would wish I didn't exist.
And they now
Right?
now have better benefits and they have better
right.
But that's the crazy thing about it is the fact that both wishes. But if you go to the people that are like at New Belgium now,
Talk into the mic.
if you go to those people that are New Belgium now, I mean, they're about as happy as they've ever been because they got paid.
Totally.
And then on top of it, they've got these unbelievable benefits now too. So it is a weird wish. I mean, because we all wish it on the outside, and I've gone through it. I mean, I've been working for companies that have got bought out, and it does suck. But at the end of the day, the 401k contributions and the better health benefits and all that stuff that comes with it for the individual employees that do stay, some of them do well.
I'm all in on the material benefits for working for a company that has more monetary resources to give you or to scale the business. I'm all in on that, especially as a business owner. All I was saying is that there is something.
I know you're sad. I get it.
Yeah.
I am too. It is a sad moment.
And I will also say, it's talking. There's a lot of talk of fairy tales of how it's always been for time immemorial and all that stuff. And I just want to say that is
that's
fucking bullshit.
That is
because
hooey.
it isn't what it has to be. It isn't how it's written. It's how it is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to be, and it wasn't always this way. Consolidation is increasing in speed across all sectors.
Right.
It is. So it might have. There's always been consolidation, but it hasn't always been the inevitability of success.
And
if you're successful, you must sell or go out of business or become Amazon. Those are the three options you have.
Yeah, that's what we're taught.
It's like, and that's not always been like
and
that.
I also want to say something because you know what? I'm an owner of a brewery. You're an owner of a brewery. There's only 9,000 owners of breweries, right? Do you know what I mean? We're lucky that we were able to start our companies. Not everyone is going to start a company.
Right.
People are going to work in a company. They're going to switch companies. Mm-hmm. They're never going to have ownership in a company like you mentioned earlier.
Right.
I would argue to you that the majority of owners of all breweries here in America would probably love to sell out to a company.
Sure.
The majority do. And our culture teaches
I would
you,
agree, 100%.
Your culture teaches you, like, you better sell out. Why are you doing this if you don't want to make money?
Right.
You look at the number one goddamn TV show in the world, Squid, whatever the hell.
Billy's.
Squid, you know what I mean? But like
Succession.
Squid's Game is all about like
Squid Game.
what desperate people do for money.
Right.
We're constantly reminded how worthless we are unless we have money.
Isn't this just our agreed upon societal myth that we all should be giving all of our stuff to the more elite people than us?
Right. That's what we've been taught.
That's what we've been indoctrinated
That's
into?
how we've been taught. Yeah.
I'm sure this is some hippy dippy shit, but sorry, sir.
Absolutely right, though.
But isn't that like that's
we've been
the narrative?
socialized and trained to make sure that only these billionaires get everything.
Right.
Maybe you get a new Sony's spliff to play with once in a while.
And maybe let's get political now. If we all had universal health care, it wouldn't have to be like, oh, they have such better benefits
Right.
now.
We wouldn't have to talk about this stuff. But
I'm pretty excited that I just learned that saying hippy dippy shit is not allowed on the podcast.
That's,
so that's
it's
great.
the shit
did we already say no to that before you moved here? You can't talk about any hippy dippy shit, left wing.
No, that was
commie bullshit.
No, we
I
had
do
a
like the
we
fact
had a
that
right.
Sue's writing.
There was a clause.
In
This is a Koch brothers.
We're
podcast.
allowed
Is
to
this in
do
the
that.
audit?
This is a Koch brothers.
This
podcast.
is the audit.
Is there really a clause?
You're
What's the
auditing
clause?
it.
No,
Damn
there's no
it.
clause.
I'm
This is-
testing all the
Wait, what are you
rules.
talking
Yes,
about?
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I am testing all the parameters of the show right now.
I like it.
But so what I'm saying, like to a lot of people in the brewing industry, right? I mean, let's just go down this rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. They were delighted that Larry Bell sold his company, right?
Sorry.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would argue that some people are thinking that way. I'm sure the tired hands, the half acres, the revs out there are all like, wow, wish this could have happened to us.
You know what?
Maybe.
I'm not going to go down that subject.
Maybe.
I think that they've all had.
speculating.
I think that they have all had. I'll say this. I think they've all had opportunities, and some of them have said no.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll all say no forever, because they probably should have all taken it at the time because the valuations aren't the same.
Right.
But a lot of them have had opportunities and have had said no. I do want to throw one thing in, and we talk about it not being the way that it always. That this isn't the way that it should always be, or whatever we're talking about now. At this conference I was at, I heard something from two old gentlemen whose names I will not remember. They've done 300 consolidation deals across the country with distributors. And the one thing that I heard, which I loved, was he looked out in the room and he said, "How many of you out here are distributors?" And the hands went up. There's about 200 people in the room, and I would say maybe 25 to 40% of them were distributors. He said, you are members of one of the most exclusive clubs in the United States. It's you and senators. And the only way that you can become a distributor nowadays is if you already are a distributor. And it was very truthful to hear. And then they went on to talk about things like diversity and why the industry isn't different. And we're looking out amongst a sea of white men. But the reason why things are the way they are is because of the fact that these distributors are the same people and will be the same people till long after we're gone. And it's just family generational going down. There's no more entries that are coming in that have a different mindset about the way it should be. And, you start looking at some of these craft distributors that have started out over the years, and some of them have done well and some of them had failed. I'd argue that more have failed than have been successful. And you look at that because of the fact that the big guys control access to the very large brands that we're talking about right now that actually drive income and revenue into these houses and make them long-term players and long-term successes.
Yeah, because I'm not sure we talked about this live, but the reality is a craft distributor has a very difficult chance of surviving if they don't have any core Borg brands to sell as well. You mentioned something like that. I don't know if you want to speak to it again, but The reality is, if you're a craft distributor, you don't have any mainstream brands or the big brands, you're in trouble.
Well, the cost of making a stop anywhere is very expensive. I mean, I think that, Chris, I don't know how much you want to talk about the fact that your pivot that you were able to do during COVID, but making individual stops, if you don't control the entire, production to distribution channel, gets very, very expensive. Your cost profitability isn't as great as everybody thinks it is. So if you're only making 1 or 2 case drops, you can't hit as many accounts. And if you don't have the Borg brands, I'm not going to add that to
indoctrinated.
I'm not going to add
Please
that.
Put that in the
put a little drop down
in the PowerPoint.
on your analytics.
I am not adding that to my vernacular.
Picture of like
It's just
the Borg
it's just
guy.
the whole thing is the Borg brands.
But if you don't have the large brands that have got penetration into the C channel, the gas station channel, and some of those accounts that drive a lot of trial and drive a lot of volume, you can't profitably stop there. So, you've got very limited places where you can go and sell your brands. So you're only going to grow so far. And then once you do grow those brands to a certain point, the Borg distributors will come and buy those brands, and the suppliers will want you to sell them to the distributors so they can take them to the next level. And that's what starts this process. And this process then doesn't end. It starts off with great intentions of selling through a localized self-distribution, then a small little craft brewery. And then you get to a point that the chain says, I love you, I want you in, but you can't be with that cute little distributor. You got to sell to this guy. And then you get to that next stage and go, you got to go to the big guy. And then you go there and you take that as far as you go. And
That's the ceiling.
And that's how the story tends to be written.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, space is whatever. Like as a brewery right now, we know we have limitations doing self-distribution. We know where we're capped out. We know what our limits are for selling in the marketplace. And when we start thinking about going to different markets, it's like, wow, what a fantasy. It'd be great to go to Detroit, go back to Missouri, be in Wisconsin, self-distribute in Wisconsin, do this stuff. We might get some beer in there, but it's not going to really help grow this company. It's just going to maybe break even at best. And the reality is, none of these distributors in those states want to pay to ship our stuff to their states. Why do they want to buy beer from Chicago and sell it in a different state if it's going to cost a ton more than it did 3 years ago based on shipping cost? They don't want to. And if there's now 9,000 local breweries, what is the point of buying any beer outside of your marketplace? If you're a true head and you want to support local, why the hell are you buying Bell's in Illinois?
Right, and this is where like your well, because Bell's is great, but
you know what I mean?
Like, is fantastic.
That's where that's the struggle right now.
It's like the Jungle Boogie of IPAs, but I think this is like the kind of the turnaround of a lot of
coming in.
Yeah, a lot of craft breweries.
So well dropped.
But a lot of craft brewing marketing was, right? You smart the small guy, the local guy, and then now there's 9,000 breweries, and
which is great,
right? But that the small and local became something completely different than when that was devised as an idea of how we should get people to support craft beer, right? If
local was multi-state or regional.
Well, yeah, and if the Craft Brewers Alliance really, or not Craft Brewers Alliance, the BA was like, what was it supposed to be? It's like 20% by 2020. 20.
Yeah, that was the goal.
It almost made it.
Yep.
Almost.
Yep.
but almost it isn't making it.
Well, if
But
you-
then they started
anything
cutting
gets
everybody out.
receded,
yeah,
right?
they started redefining who was craft.
Lagunitas isn't craft.
Right.
Goose isn't craft.
Right.
You know,
And that-
Blue Moon isn't
that-
craft.
and that-
but if you do count them as craft, then they are 20%.
If you count those brands as craft, which arguably a lot of people would, it is over 20% now.
And then you get to the question of, so what is it though? What is craft beer and what does it mean to you, right? It's now become more individualized.
It's a
and just like
style
it's a
then.
small, it's
It's a
someone
style
making a
of
hobby beer. Well, is it a style of beer or is it the embodiment of the ethos they projected 15 years ago?
Who are you asking?
Independent, traditionally made, right? Like these things are so antiquated and I don't think they've really updated them in any impactful way to like what's traditionally made mean? Is 450 North a traditional thing? No.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
not.
but that's craft beer versus something that's owned by like a larger entity according to the standards of the BA. So this thing has become so fractured and we're supposed to now be like, it's so great that we have 9,000 breweries making 100 barrels each. It's like, is that really a victory?
Well, I love all the definitions are fantastic because I drove by, dropped my daughter off at school today, and I drove by Roots Pizza here in Chicago, and it's handmade. It's a handmade pizza.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that pizzas were made otherwise, but you start hearing words like that, and you make an amazing point.
Yeah.
I think that it is very interesting to see how it's changed over the last 10, 15 years, last 20 years, the definition of craft and what it really means. I think the idea of what it was supposed to mean and what we thought the consumer cared about it meaning has really changed. I mean, there's an awful lot of people out there that definitely don't know that these big companies aren't probably what they're kind of built on the back of.
And like you said, don't care, which is fine. Most people don't have the time or energy to spend 1/10 of the amount of time and energy we spend.
But
on
they
this and
do.
caring
They
about
can,
it.
they can
do
spend all the
care,
time
though.
wasting their lives on TikTok, but but they somehow can't Google Lagunitas.
we don't
and
have the
see-
algorithms.
But they don't keep. But it is kind of weird that those type of things. Everybody seems to care what goes into their bodies, but at the end of the day, they don't take 2 seconds to pick up their phone.
But even that idea that people care what goes into their bodies has been like co-opted, and even like at a different level.
If they didn't care, Mike, then Kellogg or Kraft or whoever it is wouldn't have bought Kashi. They would have just made their own whole
look
grain
at, but look
cereal.
at all
Wait a
that they
minute,
did,
wait,
and they
wait.
still sell more of that than
Kellogg-
they still have Kashi.
Or
Kellogg
somebody bought them.
owns Kashi.
Since before you've ever heard of them.
But this is like,
Oh, no.
But most people in the United States don't give a flying about what we care about.
You're absolutely right about that.
Like right, like most people eat McDonald's and drink Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I
drink
mean,
10 liters of Coca-Cola.
I boycott.
But they do both,
I
though.
boycott and just
Some do, yeah.
I boycott and don't support local businesses, breweries based on their politics, for example.
Sure.
Or things they say, or
Right.
how they treat someone I know.
And that one of
it becomes very personal to me.
And
right?
one of my most important purchasing decisions for anything I buy, I try to buy things that will recirculate money as close to the people that exist in the community around
that's
me.
why you.
But that's not.
Is that why you continue to buy Jungle Boogie, or are you just picking up low fills?
I
at the
only
brewery?
buy Jungle Boogie because it's good. Okay.
All right, fine.
It happens to align with my ethos.
This Kashi thing is now really going to bother me because after making that comment, it is in fact owned by Kellogg's.
When did they buy them?
I
I know.
haven't gotten that far.
Since before you've ever heard of them.
That's like
yeah,
3
right.
o'clock.
But that's a niche, right? They sell more Reese's Puffs than they sell Kashi.
Just so you know, I'm never buying that stuff ever.
But
again.
my
Reese's
point being,
Puffs?
no, of course not, because
the
nobody
Kashi.
cares. Because nobody cares, right? They don't really care.
but
they do
but
care, which is
people do
why
care.
it was made. Like the fact
there are
that
a set of people who do care and care very deeply, and that's who we're talking to right now.
everyone
right?
who buys Kashi cares.
Anyone who's downloading
Like-
a beer podcast to listen to
Indie
us.
beer
Not everyone who
podcast,
buys
yeah.
Kashi cares.
Boycott
Not everyone who
Kashi.
buys Kashi
Yeah.
cares.
I'm not buying Kashi.
People that buy
Yeah, that's it.
Kashi
We're done.
don't care
I don't even know what it is, and I'm not buying it.
because they're buying a Kellogg
we
cereal.
can take. Well, they don't know that.
Forget Kashi.
Right.
Down
So maybe
with
they care,
Kashi.
but they don't care enough to actually do the
Can I get
research.
a tie-dye T-shirt that says down?
They
Down,
trust.
yeah, absolutely.
Because they trust.
Oh, the
Right.
thumb down.
It's not their
Yeah.
fault. Nobody has time to research everything they do.
No.
So it's like, you know,
It's true.
It's tough.
It's true.
And the big guys know it, and it's very easy to take advantage of that.
mean,
and it's very easy to buy if Joe, Jimmy Kashi didn't sell out, then somebody else would have, and you
Was
just
that
do
his
that.
name?
And there
Was
is
his name
something.
Jimmy?
Yeah,
And this is
Giacomo, but he went by Jimmy.
I've been watching The Sopranos a lot. It's hard. This is something that's like very obviously true, especially given the the esteemed guests on the panel, but the people are buying the cultural capital that these breweries have amassed. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been purchasing them. They would have just done it themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Shock Top didn't take off the way, I mean, Blue Moon did. Blue Moon's a huge brand, but like Shock Top or like them trying to make their own IPAs did not take off the way they wanted it to, so they had to buy the cultural capital. And wrapped up in that was this emotional attachment people had to those brands for these independent reasons. I think a lot of them. Maybe
and then it trickles down as maybe something that is like you get a vibe from it. If you were, 3 times removed from the person who did have that, emotional investment in it, to be like, oh yeah, those are the ones that people who care about that stuff get, and that's when you get people who are like, it is a trust thing, or just like, they say like, that's why people are predisposed to have stereotypes. It's because we can't spend the time to think of and research everything. We have to categorize things to just live our lives, and so we just assume like, okay, craft, that means it's small and local and this and that, and you're like, oh, wait, Kieran, what?
Well, and then and craft beer now is like IPA, right? It's not like that people look for that upside down bottle being like fiercely independent craft beer or whatever. That craft beer to most consumers that are even aware of craft beer now is like, it is a beer that tastes hoppy.
Yeah, when I see that upside down bottle on a can, I throw that can away.
Because nobody's using bottles. Everyone's in cans.
I kind of figure they mislabeled
it. Should be a
it.
crushed can.
Just throw it out.
There are just so many things about that whole. It was just a big miss, right? It was a huge miss.
Did we take like a 5-minute break? Is now an okay time, or
sure.
Is there something you wanted to say?
I was just going to say that one of the big Canarchy, which is one of the big collectives, I think, kind of Borg-like,
semi-indie, but the mini Borg,
mini Borg.
They're private investment. I mean,
So they did a big push for the Brewers Association to have the upside down bottle inside a can. That's what it was. I thought it was a brilliant idea. It was like, that would have been good, but the upside down bottle on cans was.
Yeah.
It just wasn't aesthetically pleasing. It didn't make sense with the ethos of most branding of craft beers. It didn't know it. It was a miss. Every level of it.
I got to say though, we're taking a break.
The intention.
No, you come back. Think about what you're going to say. You can talk first when we come back.
He'll forget.
I'm going to forget.
And he can talk about something different. He'll have something he's equally passionate about to say when we come back.
To me, manufacturing, creating a sense of place, a third place, helping provide like opportunities for people in my neighborhood is what compelled me, right?
Totally.
And craft beer was always a thing that led to us trying to do something. But at no point when I did this project did I ever say, I'm only doing craft beer, right? As you know, we were joking about the Dream Soda, the CBD beverages we make. We launched a CBD brand, a tea brand. We make nitrogen coffee. We make shrub sodas. We make kombucha. Like, our company's always been about independent beverages. Awesome. It's about independent manufacturing and creating these beverages. So to me, it's like, I understand what craft beer means, but to me, I always knew it was like a big, big dream to think that we would actually sustain ourselves on craft beer alone.
And I totally agree.
And I'm saying I always knew that, and I'm afraid I was confirmed to everything I knew. But like, to be able to start new lines and be part of like a beverage thing, like a house of brands, a little mini house of Mars brands, right, is really our way of survival and our way of actually finding a way to survive and evolve and create new beverages or create beverages for everyone for any occasion. So the craft beer segment is like something that is very perishable in a sense, or it's in a state of precarity more so than ever before, despite the growth of these 100-barrel facilities, right? These brew pubs and stuff. And I think one of the reasons why is this distribution. The families, there's a different Borg. And I think that's something that's really important. Because if we do want to win, we're going to need to figure out these alternative distribution models that work. Maybe it means harnessing technology, going with the Grizzlies, et cetera, of the world, Drizzlies of the world, right? You know what I mean? Like direct-to-consumer stuff. I don't know what's going to take, but we need some really high-powered, innovative thinking to disrupt how things are done right now. And we need to, all 9,000 of us need to start pitching in money to pay lobbyists to act on our behalf in every state, or we're going to be crushed.
I want Mars drones running around the city of Chicago,
Trebuchets.
dropping
Hovercrafts.
Jungle Boogie. You just hold your hand in the air,
Moderately
and a Jungle
accurate.
Boogie,
Just
Boogie.
zips by.
Jungle Boogie just kind of hits you.
You know what? I saw that in Battlefield 5, the use of drones to deliver stuff.
You know what? Can we go get a Jungle Boogie right
Yeah,
now?
let's take a break.
About fucking time.
We'll be right back. All right, we're back with the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I am Chris Quinn. Co-host is Mike Shalau. We haven't formally introduced Fade Master Surge yet, and we've got our guests, Donn Bichsel and Edmar. Edmar, I said you could have the first word when we come back, and I knew you'd have something
I totally
very
forgot.
poignant to talk about.
It's all good. I think I actually said what I wanted to say about the fact that the distributors
If
were
you already said it, you don't have to say it again.
were like the key for the struggle for independent craft brewers of whatever you're brewing, and that the strategy should be focused on, obviously you want to survive and you want to grow your business, but how will you do that in a climate where the distributors are really hold all the cards? So yeah, you could grow your local market, make sure you have good relationships in different markets, but don't expect to have much success in the next year or so.
What a lovely.
I mean, as we deal with the supply chain issues, as we deal with the inflation with, shipping costs. Donn, once again, you mentioned something that you heard the other day about the Big Borg and how much they're going to be raising their prices. Yeah. And they have, when the Borg decides they're raising prices.
Well, everybody follows. I mean, the big brewers in every market control it, whether you're independent or not, and there's always pressure to go up. But prices are moving up earlier than in past. Generally, prices move for draft in September, and they move in package in February. But prices are moving January, so all you breweries out there, move your prices up in January. On average, 4 to 6%. Will be the increases across the board, and there'll be some revenue sharings, good and bad, with your distributor and retail partners. But that movement is happening, and probably not high enough to cover the costs. I mean, upstream, the costs for, and this is public knowledge because they're a publicly traded company, Samuel Adams isn't going to move enough to cover their costs of all their raw materials for production. So their 4 to 6% is not going to cover that. And if you think about all the economies of scale that they've got, the breweries that are downstream should probably be looking to finally go and cross that mythical creature of $9.99. We should see an awful lot more $10.99s for 6-packs, if not $11.99. And the consumers got to realize that the craft breweries are getting absolutely slaughtered out there. I mean, they can't even get raw materials that they need, on top of not being able to get cans. And I think, I don't know, Chris, if we said this on air, but it would be great to see the how many bottles come back because of this.
Yeah, right. We're back to bottles. It's,
Maheen's, baby, we're back.
We're back.
Bombers.
That's what Mr. Giacomo Maheen is saying right now. We're back, baby.
Yeah. They pull me back in.
Yeah.
That's the Maheen.
We're going to make so much money.
Well, the other thing I was wanted to say about that is that if you're a small producer like us, and you're going to an independent distributor in these states, because there are independent distributors in most of these states, they're not going to be able to pay for your shipping anymore. They're going to have to raise the price of your liquid. Your price of your liquid is going to go up in any other market besides where you're at right now, whether you like it or not. It all has to go up if it hasn't already gone up in the past year.
So all you guys, beer lovers out there who've been bargain shopping and just coasting on that sweet $16.99 4-pack, guess what? The
16.
The dog days are, the salad days are over.
Well, the consumer price index came out the other day. There was an article, I think it was in Forbes. They said there was only 2 items that hadn't gone up. It was beer and sofas. Now I think it's takes
that is a great
I think it
correlation.
takes 9 months to get a sofa or something.
Those are connected.
But I love the fact that the price of something that you can consume while lying on something has stayed the same in America.
That's beautiful.
And the last time I looked, TVs are pretty friggin' cheap. So that's all you need in life. Beer, sofa, TV.
Yeah,
TVs
I
right
love
now,
that.
precipitously.
Watch commercials for big
Just
beer.
commercials only.
Yeah.
Video games.
The Budweiser.
Order from your app, have your big beer delivered to you.
Yep.
And sit and don't think about it.
From your
Just
your
enjoy
Mars
it.
Trebuchet.
Don't think.
Your big food, your big beer.
Just don't think. Get
Don't
McDonald's.
Google who
yeah.
owns the thing you're buying.
No. Also, quite literally, you got a call from the Edmar from the jewelers apparently your hovercraft is immediately ready, and you have to kind of go pick it up.
It's the late night shift at the jewelers.
Ooh, the overnight jewelers.
They stayed open a little bit late for me tonight, and
Working in shifts.
For you?
yeah, because the hovercraft.
For you?
Your hovercraft?
Well, for my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know?
So I actually, all right, fine. Besides being an owner of a brewery, yada yada, I'm also the chauffeur for King Kona.
What?
On his
So
hovercraft.
is this how you're
I'm
funding
part of the
the
Hoover,
brewery?
I'm part of the Hoovercraft, Hoover app.
Hoover.
The whole Hoover app.
I've heard
Phenomena
of
of
Hoover.
hovercrafts as like a form of transportation.
Wait, I just heard, didn't Huber sell out
Yeah.
to the Borg
Yeah.
of transportation?
Yeah.
Well, they were one of the only actually
Independent.
profitable
Profit.
apps, too.
Yeah.
Right.
Profitable from day one.
Well, they would have been profitable if they didn't keep getting all the jewels stolen off the
Exactly.
hovercrafts
If the
to fund
hovercrafts-
craft breweries.
Yeah.
Hovercraft breweries.
Exactly.
That is the horror of it all. I mean,
Uber.
and I love this kind of
Genius.
diversification of like being involved with hovercraft industry, coconuts, my friend,
Listen,
King Kona.
how's the
You
coconut
guys are a
industry
craft
doing?
industry, whether it's craft CBD
You're right.
drinks,
It's
craft
just
beers,
craft.
hovercrafts.
It's craft,
Hovercraft?
craft
Yeah.
hovercraft.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big market.
Diversify, baby.
Yeah, coconuts. I mean, King Kona versus Marzilla recently came out, and it tastes great. Fresh coconuts straight from the husk. Well, yes, but it means that I'm going to split, guys. All right? I love you. I love you all. And I want to touch you one more time before I leave. And Chris, I'm going to pee on your wall.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
Just think about you.
When I smell it, I'll think of you.
This is what left
I
turn wasn't expecting.
gotta run upstairs. I gotta grab the keys to the hovercraft, go to the jewelers, drop it off, and then I gotta walk home, and I'll pee on the-
They called to say they're ready for you to drop it off.
Yeah, I'm
I
not,
get it.
It's the overnight shift at the
not-
hovercraft
they don't
jewelers,
drop
Chris.
the- they don't
What are
drop
you
them off.
getting?
Yeah.
I don't get to keep it.
Haven't you seen
I
how
thought they were
it's
saying it was
made?
ready to be picked up because it's now operational.
It is
no.
no.
You have to drop it off to be worked on.
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, they said they're ready
Emergency
for me.
call. I have
Yeah.
to drop it off.
This is airtight. What are you talking about, Chris?
Got it.
It's the only time where I respond immediately to texts.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Well,
This
it all
really
makes
was
sense
This
now.
has just gone off
a
the
Beer
rails.
Temple Insiders
Classic.
1.0. We are back,
I'm
baby.
so glad to be here. You just use the broom handle on the ceiling. Knock 3 times if you need me. I'll come down.
want me.
Okay?
All I'll do is just unplug the Ethernet cable. That'll get you
Oh,
down
don't
here.
do that again. Stop doing that, Chris.
I will continue to be the 12th person that you text last
Yeah.
minute to
No.
show up.
First person, Don.
First person.
Don,
Don.
I'm not-
Mike.
You know what?
I'm not coming back on the show unless Don's here.
No, I asked one person.
Well, that's it. So 1 year
I
from
guess
today.
I'll see you next year.
So we'll see you next year.
Yeah.
Kirby.
No, I had already had him on.
I'm
Oh, that's
automatically
true.
on.
Well, the other one was my idea. I didn't want you on. I was like, this guy's too smart. He's going to make me look dumb.
Wow, and I felt the same way about you. But then as soon as you said that I'd have a man touching me,
Yeah.
That's
was
right.
in.
I did say that.
What else?
Thank you for delivering.
What else brings in the experts besides personal touches?
cheese
That's
sauce.
right.
You know?
Cheese,
You know?
cheese sauce.
Cheese
the,
sauce
Yeah.
the
too.
Borg
Cheese
won't
sauce.
touch you like that.
Baked on cheese.
But guys,
Melty.
great to see you. Happy holidays. I'll see you again before the year's out. I'm hoping to God that King Kona comes on again. I hope you can get Queen Kona and King Kona back on together.
We can
There's
get the,
talks.
Well, when the
There's
hovercraft
talks.
comes
I
out,
will see you for the industry party that
Yes.
is back. The
yes,
industry
I'm
party
going to be
is
there,
back.
and I'm going to be there early.
Good. It
But
is
I'll see
early.
you, cats. All right, I love you. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me on.
See you, Edmar. And he's out. He's firing up the hovercraft.
it's
too.
not firing.
He's pushing
though.
it.
It's
he's
working
pushing
perfectly,
it.
actually. It's just not glistening.
Yeah.
And, he's come back. He is now, he's touching Donn. And some,
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, that's Don's.
They're slapping. They're literal back slapping
okay,
now.
all right. Oh, wow. All right.
And
That was
Thank God.
And
Thank
he's
God.
out. I mean, that's
was
very
incredible.
1.0
Thank
to
God
just
this is
come
it.
and go, not at the right time.
Yeah. Thank God this is not a visual medium, or else Sergio had to figure out how to blur things, because that
It's
got
true.
yeah, graphic.
That was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Twice in one day.
Well, Don, is there anything you would like to say? Oh, so one other thing I will say that you might find interesting and very apropos to what you were saying.
I've still got a full beer.
We were going to talk about this, Don, last week, but I'm glad we didn't. It was there was an article in Brewbound about who gives us access to their Full disclosure, Justin Kendall, very, very generously does that for us.
Nice.
But
Thanks, Justin.
yeah, so in Brewbound, there was an article about how there was 3-tier pushback. PA requires out-of-state breweries to use 3-tier for their Pennsylvania tap rooms, meaning if you're not a Pennsylvania brewery
Yeah.
and you have a tap room in Pennsylvania, you have to use 3-tier to deliver the beer to your own tap room, which I guess kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, completely makes sense.
Kind of surprising it wasn't already something you had to do.
Right. But it is at your own premise.
Who is that aimed at? Is that Guinness? Guinness
I mean,
has
those
a
type of
brewery
places,
there, right?
or,
like, who is a tap room? Like, I don't even know who
I
this
think,
would be.
I think they're just closing loopholes. I mean, I think the one thing that happened in COVID was there was a lot of loosening of a lot of some of these subtle laws, and we're all a little fortunate that there's probably not enough people in the TTB that are out there enforcing a lot of these things. But
Hey, don't be a snitch, okay?
But a lot of these things
You
got
hear
a
about snitches, what do they get?
They end up
Back
in ditches,
rubs from
ditches
meaty
or
piles
back
of
rubs.
man.
Yeah. But no, I think a lot of the
get back
laws
rubs.
got loosened over the past couple of years, and I think that this is one of the ones that they've decided to try to crack down on. But I think that a lot of the things that came out of COVID and the access to alcohol being directly delivered by a lot of craft breweries has been good. I hope that genie doesn't go back in the bottle.
That was taken away in Illinois after we were doing that. You can't deliver directly. You can't deliver directly. As
And
a
I
brewery
think
anymore,
it's
but
going
you
to take the
can use
consumer.
services.
The consumer's got to probably raise up and want that one back, because I thought that was one of the best ones.
It was in a bill they had, and it was taken out because it was to get some other concessions because distributors had were like, you guys have gotten everything you wanted for the past 3 years, so
No.
We'll let you win this one.
Double birds, we're getting some stuff back. So.
It's a pretty small one, all things considered, to get back, I would think.
Yeah, and that one in Pennsylvania, that sure seems like that's a no-brainer. But
Yeah. But it was, I do think, I would not be surprised if we see more 3-tier pushback on own premise, on self-distro, on stuff like that. Over the past couple of years, you've seen it kind of trickling out. Pushback. New Jersey kind of.
and I don't think the one thing that you got to remember is that it's not a large portion of the business. So the fight that some of the distributors are going to have, you look at some of these breweries that have their own private clubs. Think about Firestone Walker and the beer that they're delivering direct down in California. The same thing with Tommy at Lost Abbey. You shut things down like that, and in some of the cases, not with Firestone, obviously, but that would drastically impact some of these breweries' businesses.
The cutting out the direct delivery thing was, I grew that over the start of the pandemic to the end. That was 25% of our revenue. I've made it up otherwise, and we make more beer, a little bit more beer now. We just sell it to, in other ways, but
Jewelers.
Jewelers pay a lot for beer.
Well,
but
I'm still meeting you in the back of your car, right?
Yeah,
When we leave here?
it was like that. I
Fell
drove
off
it
a
around,
car.
and
Yeah.
we're a very small
back of a
brewery, so
car.
I was able to do that very easily and quickly. But
There needs to be a cutout of some sort, because most of these products are products that the distributors don't want to sell. It's not that they don't like the beer, but it's small format, it's in and out, it's seasonal, it's special releases.
Right.
There needs to be some kind of a carve out for this, because otherwise it's not ever going to get to the consumer.
Right, and I would hope, in the most idyllic ways, I hope that things go more the way of like wine in California for small producers like us, where we can ship directly to the people that want it. Like I'm running a brewery, it's probably never going to make much more than even 1,000 barrels, maybe, if we're doing a great job. And so I'm not taking money out of any distributor's pocket, really. So if I can ship directly to someone or drive it right to someone's house, like,
it'd be awesome if
let
it
me
could
do
go.
it.
Yeah, if
it'd
you
be
come
awesome.
inside, drink with us,
And
talk with us.
right, yeah. And it's like
I wish wineries could sell directly to me too.
There are some
Why
interesting-
wouldn't they be able to sell me as a retailer?
Right.
There's no reason I shouldn't be able to do that too.
There are interesting things happening. Like there's a new type of craft brewer's license in Illinois where you can now sell your beer at farmers markets if you make less than something like 200 barrels of beer a year. It's which is interesting. It's like a different type of. It's a better understanding of how breweries are trying to get to their consumers than just being like, you're a brew pub, or you're a big craft brewery, or you're a little craft brewery. There's some more interesting bifurcations of that.
But it all
that
has-
terrifies me though a little bit because the fact that as soon as Whole Foods added in alcohol to be able to walk around the stores, I knew that my time was ending shopping at Whole Foods, and I don't shop there anymore because 2 beers equals $50 worth of cheese.
Right.
So the same thing at a farmer's market, like 2 beers is going to equal like
you can't-
cantaloupes that I'll never eat.
I
for
don't
like
think you
25
can
bucks.
sample. You can just sell your beer. You can have like essentially a caterer's license to sell packaged
See,
product.
now I'm kind of upset about that.
Yeah,
though.
that's why we got to.
But
You and
they'll
I
be
got to
in
push.
really
Be able
cool.
to sample.
They'll be in cool flip top,
And 16 ounce paid
ceramic-
samples.
They'll all be in ceramic, hand painted bottles. I'm sure.
Yeah, but for
And,
a brewery like mine, it's going to make 500 milliliter bottles and only like 200 barrels of it. Selling it directly over our counter or selling even 20 barrels a year at a farmer's market is huge. For sure.
Yeah, that
No,
farm, that
And
farm,
we do put them in ceramic flip top bottles. That
those farmers are
explode.
going to be so excited. They'll be like, I want to be next to him.
I'm getting so many radishes next year. You want to trade for radishes? Yeah.
But here's
yeah,
the thing,
sure.
and I'm sure the distributors and the big owners love it because there was that. I think now the idea for them is there's the saying in the banking industry or whatever, in certain industries, airline industry, whatever, too big to fail. And the way they want to keep all the independents, I think, is too small to acquire, too small to be worth acquiring. That's what they want.
Which, gotta be honest,
be 50,000, be 150,000 of them. That's great. As long as they're too small to be worth me buying them, I don't care. Go for it.
Honestly, where I'm at in my life right now, that's fine with me. If I have a job, I actually enjoy the operations of a brewery. Right, like
That's totally cool.
I'm somewhat a sadist, right? I would like to do this.
But I'm talking to you as you were talking to Edmar earlier, being like, why does that not mean that there can't be people who are independent, who are bells and stuff? Right, no, I know you agree.
I was
which is
making
why
that
I'm-
argument, right?
No, yeah, like just because you can, I want to do that.
I want
doesn't
to.
Mean,
My preferred goal is to operate the business as my job, right?
Yeah.
Not to. I don't want. I would love to scale. And
Well, luckily that's good because that's the only
That's all
option
we
you
got.
have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We're seeing a return to if you opened a brewery in the '90s or in the '80s, that was probably the best you could hope for. But
Yeah. Which is what led to all the good stuff to begin with.
right.
For real.
I like it. I'm sure when I'm like 50 and my back hurts a little bit more than it does now, I'll have a different tune.
Or you have children that want to go to private school.
My kids are gonna be too dumb to get in. You've heard me talk.
It's an amazing concept. You pay enough money, they'll let them in.
No, those kids go to Ivy League schools because they're
thought we
smarter.
lived in meritocracy.
Anyway, so let's, Donn, is there anything that you would like to say before we head out? Anything that we haven't gotten to? You've got a full beer still.
Yeah, the only stat that I'll throw out there, and I found this one interesting, was the fact that we're talking about this, and this is obviously big news in beer, but New Belgium, when this deal is started right now, is only a 0.75% of beer. Bell's is only 0.25 of beer. We're only talking about 1% of total beer. And combined, they are only going to be 8.3% of the craft category. So
That's a lot. 8.3% of the craft catalog.
of craft category is big.
But they won't
Very
be BA craft. They'll be
They'll
craft
be-
by
they'll be-
Nielsen craft.
They'll be kicked out. But so when you start looking at this thing, at overall, I mean, it is amazing when you think about it that there's still only 1% of overall beer. So 2 of the largest craft breweries in the country. So it just shows you how
They
big
said
that pie
8.3.
is. 8.3 of craft.
1%
1% of all beer.
Yeah.
Of all beer.
Yeah.
So, and then this year to
That's
date,
a lot of beer.
New Belgium, and it goes back to
9,000
that.
breweries.
It goes back to that thing that we were talking about the ownership change. I mean, this year New Belgium, who were a little stagnant for a number of years, up 12% year to date, and this is all scan data, so it doesn't capture the on premise. But Bell's is down almost 6%. So
of that
it'll be interesting to
12%,
see that. It'll be interesting to see that in a year from now and how much that changes.
I don't know if you've broken it out, and if you haven't, that's obviously fine. But do you know what's driving that? I guess there's
12 packs.
12
Yeah,
packs.
large volume for the most part is what's driving it. Dominga's been pretty exciting for them actually, and that's kind of come on a little bit strong.
I'm glad that caught on. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's
Dominga that's a good beer.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what is so 1% of all beer is New Belgium and Bell's combined. Do you have any idea what the combined percentage of all beer, the bottom 8,700 breweries are, roughly 8,500,
This is
8,900.
where the long tail comes in and doesn't necessarily kick into that sound scan.
And it's
data.
like, those 8,000, they make up, in this 0.1% of everything.
Probably something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I mean,
But this is the nature of those types of.
well, and that 80-20 rule gets a little bit scary pretty quickly too. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a hockey stick, I'm sure.
yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch how much of the beer is done by the top 2 or 3 producers. I mean, you're talking about 80% of the volume is being done by 3% of all the producers in the United States.
Yeah.
It's a very, very, very long tail. And I think the thing going back to pricing, I think I'll add this as well. It is a little frightening for some of these breweries that are out there right now for trying to get their hands on the things that they need to be able to put these products in consumers' hands. The big suppliers out there, they control the market. Yeah. They control the access to cans. They control the access to grain. They control the access to hops, because the big producers of cans and the big producers of bottles and everything else, they're going to take care of these big clients first. And the ones that are longer down the tail that don't have contracts, they're going to have a very difficult time for the next foreseeable couple of years. This isn't going to open up in 3 or 4 months.
I think
That's why you got to make a brewery that only makes about 50 barrels a year. You buy your malt from Indiana, you buy your hops from Michigan, and you sell it to everyone in Illinois.
And don't sell out
And
to
you
the board.
and you only make 500
and don't make
milliliter
enough for the
bottle
board
conditioned
to want
bottles.
to buy
Yeah.
it. You
You
could
do-
go there and be like, I will sell. And they're like,
You do, yeah.
that's great. That's great.
Do-
1 second. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Make a style of beer that literally doesn't show up in IRI data.
Yeah.
We did look for it. We did
It's
look.
not
we were
even a
looking.
category.
We went looking for it.
So according to that data, I own the category.
You're industry leader.
Putting that in my
You
business
are
plan
the
when I go to raise
category.
money. Yeah.
You are the category. Don, so usually don't. We usually don't say this, but you should probably mention your company, right?
Let's do plugs.
Yeah, let's do some plugs.
We don't need to do plugs, but
No? Okay.
No calls to action.
no calls to action.
Or
Okay, he
search
doesn't
just edit
wanna-
them out.
So he doesn't feel that the listeners are worthy of knowing
Oh my
who
god.
he is. That's fine.
Pretty
So-
cool.
so-
Kind
so-
of like a distributor. Don't talk
so-
about
so-
what's
You know what?
up
I
you.
have it on good authority. Rob Todd listens to the show.
Oh my
What?
god.
Yeah.
So,
Really? I love Rob Todd.
Yeah. He calls and asks when Don's going to be back on.
I can guarantee you,
My good friend.
Rob could care less about the fact that Donn Bichsel is mentioning him. Rob Todd. I will send this out there though. The Allegashians have become my favorite thing in the world. In the pandemic, I'm on a text thread with Josh Fruckman and I, who is the national account guy for Allagash. Him and I used to work together at Dogfish. So the last big event that I went to before the world shut down was with the Allegashians, and so that's where this all comes from. But no, I've been in the business for a very, very long time, and always based here in Chicago. So my company does data management for about 150 different suppliers across beer, wine, and spirits. But it definitely has been an interesting transition. Primarily used to do beer, and it's a lot of fun trying to explore everything that's happening in wine and spirits right now, especially as lines have become very blurred across categories. This RTD category, PAB, progressive adult beverage, is fascinating to me, and it's a lot of fun to kind of watch how. There's more beverage companies than beer companies nowadays.
Yes.
And
I've noticed that.
Just had one leave.
And Edmar's a great example of it. I love when these different companies are playing in different spaces, because I think it introduces them to consumers that might not necessarily try what they got into the business for. But it is fun working across beer, wine, and spirits.
I think we're all doing something different. I know of 3 people on mic right now, and probably Edmar too. We are all doing something different than what we thought we would be doing probably even 2 years ago.
Oh, very much so.
You know?
Sure.
I very much so. I mean, I said this offline. I mean, 2 years ago, we went to Brewbound. It's interesting that we brought up Brewbound. I went to Brewbound kind of with an idea and didn't know if it was going to come to fruition. And 2 years later, we're going back and we're sponsoring it. So it's a big transition that's happened in our industry. It's happened on the supplier side, the distributor side, and and on the sales side and the marketing side. And it's kind of fun to watch. I think that a lot of these trends were happening over the last 10 years, and because of COVID, they all happened overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it has accelerated a lot of things. Should we get out of here, guys? What do you think?
Let's go find a Jungle Boogie. I hear that maybe there's a bar nearby that might have one.
Yeah. We could probably find a bar with a Jungle Boogie. We'd have to do a little bit of searching, but thanks once again. I will mention the way to, if you have any thoughts about this episode,
Good or
drop
bad.
us a line. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, only bad.
What do you feel about the return
mostly
of
bad.
Edmar, of official friend of Rob Todd, Donn Bichsel, being on the show, which is how I will probably refer to you and introduce you
The
from now
two
on.
best
now that I
things
think
about Rob
it.
Todd, one, I've never seen someone who loves his own product more than Rob Todd. Al Gashway and Rob Todd are indistinguishable in my mind. Also, the most efficient uses of letters in the first and last name in the Western culture. You can't get less than 6. Find less than 6.
Yeah, it's good.
Their culture is amazing. I will throw in just one more plug about them. I mean, they're amazing humans. I mean, they really are. It's like
I'm a fan.
We did talk today, and I was a little maybe aggressive on the thought of it's okay to sell out. But I think, Rob, if you ever sell, you're dead to us.
But first come on the show and tell us that you want to put your thumbs in your eyes before selling out. Then sell out the next
Also-
week. The greats do it.
For the record, I will say this, and it'll come off as like so polarizing. But anyway, no, I won't even go there and
No,
say
now
it.
you have to
No,
say
I
it.
won't.
no,
I'm not
you're
going
gonna
to.
say
I won't
it.
going to say it.
Say it.
Fine.
Say
What
it.
I will say is, it is. I will. I'm gonna
I'm going to
spin
bring in
it
the
a little
gamers.
bit.
I'm going to bring in the gamers.
I'm going to spin it and say it's amazing how I made it into a joke, and I started as a joke, like, so everyone wants to know, how's Rob Todd? It's like, oh, I didn't think you were going to say that. Yeah, it was just was actually just texting him.
He's
Rob
good,
Todd,
actually.
owner of. Yep,
He's got a great culture up there.
Great culture. I was actually, I was just with the head of sales for Allagash. We were on the links
They
the
had
other
me in the
day.
group chat.
We were talking about the time we were in Breckenridge with Joey Left Hand and.
I am trying really hard, if nobody notices, to
every
get
name.
a job with Allagash. Please hire me. Naomi, hire me.
Yeah.
Naomi.
I feel like that's a call to action.
I want a
Probably not the
job.
best
Yeah, I think that's a call to action.
to a very specific set of people. But
Let me get. So anyway, you can leave any sort of comments that you want, including you, Mr. Todd, and it's at insidersofcraftbeertemple.com, or you can send it to our address. It's in the show notes. Oh my gosh, the one I put out today, I forgot to put it in. So I gotta go back and do that. So it reminds me. All right, guys. Let's get back on the rails, and by that I mean we have to end the show because it's the only way we're going to get this thing back on the
Let's hear
rails.
that music.
Train off the
Let's
rails
hear
the
that
whole
music.
time.
Yep. See you guys.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted.